Give this workshop.
It's not really either. Oh yeah, I'm not Irish. It's not really.
Evening, everyone. Thank you to the board. Thank you to Dry Up LaGrange, and thank you to everybody coming out tonight to be in attendance at this meeting. Also, thank you to everybody watching at home. As usual, the video of this meeting is going to be broadcast on YouTube and will also be available on Facebook and posted to the village website. At this time, I would call the meeting to order and ask Clerk Saladino to call the roll.
Trustee Augustine.
Here.
Trustee Gale.
Here.
Trustee Katinik.
Here.
Trustee Peterson.
Here.
Trustee McGee. Absent. Trustee O'Brien. Absent. President Kukler.
Here. And Trustee McGee and Trustee O'Brien were unable to attend today either due to their own health issues or a family member's health issues. And they're missed, but we will carry on in their absence. At this time, I would ask that Commissioner Aguilar lead us with the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Since our last meeting, and in fact, just last Saturday, the village board met in this room to go over the budgeting plan. The budget workshop was held. I appreciate the department heads giving up their Saturday as well as the trustees for this very important meeting. The complete draft of the budget for fiscal year beginning May 1 of 2022 is available at the Village Hall, the library, as well as on our website. A public hearing regarding the preliminary 2022-2023 budget is scheduled for Monday, April 11th. The budget adoption is scheduled to take place in the village's agenda on April 25th. We're also coming off a very successful restaurant week. I appreciate the restaurants and their hard work. I appreciate the LGBA and their hard work in publicizing the event, and of course to our residents and visitors for their support. It's much appreciated and delicious. The LGBA, though, doesn't stop. They are planning a spring shopping stroll on Saturday, April 9th. It'll go from 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Please download and print a map or view a digital map on your phone for the stores that are going to offer one-day only specials. A random grand prize drawing for $50 gift cards to LaGrange restaurants is also going to be featured. So we invite everyone to attend and enjoy all that our LaGrange businesses and restaurants have to offer. And again, you can visit the LGBA's web site, lagrangeevents.com. Stormwater, we again appreciate Dry Up LaGrange being here at our meeting. I know that they're here to show, because they know Frank Aguilar, our Cook County Commissioner, is going to be speaking, and they want all of Cook County to know that this problem hasn't been solved. This problem is on our forefronts. We need a regional solution. We need the county, the state, and the federal government to work with us. LaGrange, years ago, passed a referendum. We, the residents, came up with the ability fiscally to be able to bond for $14 million. It's significant. It's more than most communities have done, but that only gets us part way. And to get over the finish line, we are going to need that regional help. And I know that Commissioner Aguilar has been fighting for us. And that's why I'd invite him to please address us and let us know how the county's progressing on that issue and all the other important issues that you do. But please come to the microphone.
Please, sir.
Thank you, President Kukler and Village Clerk Paul Saldino and distinguished Board of Trustees and residents. Thank you. Residents, it's again a privilege being back here in Grange. We had a great year, but there's still a lot of work to do. It's just a quick report. I collaborate with both federal, state, and municipal offices and agencies to provide healthcare options, informational assistance to tenants and landlords, and rental assistance and assistance to small businesses. Set up lots of COVID testing areas and a lot of vaccination places. And I'm very happy to announce that I had the highest vaccination centers and the highest testing and the highest vaccinated population in the whole county. So I really put an emphasis 2 years ago. That was my priority. Obviously, COVID was very hard in the 2 years, but I guess it's almost, we're almost there, not yet, but hopefully we can crush this virus and get rid of it for good. I distributed thousands and thousands of PPEs throughout my district. Almost every single week I've been out there and distributing PPEs. I delivered, we had an initiative, a Recovery Act for COVID, assisted many businesses to back to business grants, and assisted residents with Cook County with rental assistance programs, and the funding through Invest in Cook, $8.5 million in infrastructure investment plan. Look forward to continue to work again to bring these funds to the district. Over 50 businesses in the townships of the 16 districts received the Illinois Back to Business Grant Program, and under the Back to Business Grant Program, LaGrange received $20,000. Again, further, just continue to get more funding for our local businesses and our residents. But then I'm going to address the flooding issue, and it's not going to go away. And I'm not going to I'll be a thorn in their side and a pebble in their foot and a pain in the butt. I'm still asking for flooding assistance. When I talked to the CEO today of finance, she said there's maybe like $9 million to address stormwater. It's not enough. I mean, $9 million is just not going to buy. It's not going to buy a pipe, basically. I'm going to be asking for maybe twice as much, and it's a federal and state issue. Just like President Kukler said, all the agencies have to be involved, and I promise you that I'm not going to give up, because that is the number one issue in the district. It's flooding. After flooding is mental illness, but you get floods, you're going to get mental illness. Worrying about it. And I tell them when there's a storm, it's not an issue. I'm not going to get flooded. It's going to really how much it's going to cost me to fix it. So I'm not going to give up, and I'm going to keep fighting for flooding. And I'm going to be working with this. I'm building a coalition of federal, state, and local elected officials with the water rack. But I promise you, that's the number one issue in the district is flooding. We have to solve it now, because if we don't, it may cost billions today, but in the future, it's going to cost trillions, and it has to be fixed now. And I'm going to stand on this strong until we get it done. I'm not going to give up. I promise you, I'm going to keep hounding them until we get funding for flooding. So thank you again. You got my phone number. Call me. It's 630-886-6012. Answer my phone. I work for you. And thank you, President Kukler. Thank you, residents. I look forward, and it's a privilege working for all of you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Aguilar. We appreciate that you're advocating on behalf of our residents' needs, and we'll continue to work with you. I think you're exactly right. It's an expensive proposal, but it's not getting cheaper. It's something that needs to be done. We know, Dry Up LaGrange knows, May's coming. May historically has been one of the worst months for flooding in our village, and the residents are concerned. And so we'll continue to work with you and push it and make sure it keeps in everybody's front of their minds. Moving on, it's my honor to welcome and thank Phil and Steve Palmer for all their hard work. As everybody knows, the Palmer family opened Palmer Place years ago, and it's been really a mainstay in the village. When you mention to people that you live in LaGrange, one of the first things they say is, "Oh, that's so lucky. You get to go to Palmer Place quite regularly." And so it's wonderful, and it's really part of our identity. So at this time, I'm going to ask if anybody in the audience has anything that they would like to say to Steve and Phil. Then I'll ask the trustees if they have anything to say. And I'll end by reading a proclamation that we've put down on a plaque for both Steve and Phil. So please. Yes.
Tenure as a board member of the LGBA. It includes over 3 decades of service to the business community. Both have played a major role in the development and growth of the LaGrange Business Association, and their work, involvement, and dedication has allowed us to participate in village affairs and create the special activities and events that we have over the years. Both Steve and Phil have been leaders, mentors, and role models for aspiring entrepreneurs and established business owners as well. Both have played an integral role in our growth as a business association, and they've led us from 75 members to over 300. Community support is more than a buzzword for this family. It's exemplified in the way the Palmer family lives their lives with commitment, generosity, and fairness. The LGBA and all of the business community is indebted to the many roles that both Steve and Phil have played in this village, and for that we are very grateful. We're very honored and humbled that we would be able to address this audience tonight and really express our extreme gratitude for all that they have contributed to who we are and what we are as a village. So kudos to them. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Erin Molek, and I am a representative from BEDS, which is one of the nonprofit and charitable organizations that Steve and his family have been so wonderful to over many years. I'm going to try to make this brief, but you may have or may not know that they have been an advocate for us for many years. And when COVID hit and when things got really bad, one of the simple things we needed to do was keep people healthy and safe. And Steve was part of that model. On every Saturday, he delivered for over a year and a half, almost like I want to say 18 months, over 10,000 meals every Saturday that were donated or contributed, or he and his brother Phil personally contributed to people in need in our community. And I'm a resident of LaGrange. I live here, I work here, and I think that model of community has always been exemplified with what they've done and making our community a great place to live in by making sure that everyone is taken care of when they were at their worst and when things were at their worst. So I want to big thank you out to them and for always being a supporter of the work that we do and many other civic and nonprofit organizations in the community. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you. Trustees. Trustee Comments.
Thank you, President Kukler. Steve and Phil, I don't know, maybe you guys can just stand up so people on the camera can see you guys, or if you don't want to.
We're going to eventually make them talk into the microphone, so we'll get them on camera.
But first and foremost, congrats on a very successful run at Palmer's. I know the amount of time you both have put in there has been unbelievable, and it showed in your results. And wishing the new owners a very strong run once you guys leave. I've enjoyed Palmer's personally over different phases of my life. Many years ago, I used to go there as a single guy. Many years after that, I went there as a married guy with my wife, and now I take my kids there. And it's a restaurant on occasion that fits for all those purposes. And I think that's why you have such a great customer base, and everyone knows Palmer's and LaGrange are synonymous. So you've done a great job at building that business. But the most important thing to me, outside of your financial success in running the restaurant and the personal joy that I've had at going there, is what's in this proclamation that President's about to read. And it's all the little stuff behind the scenes that happens to make you guys a success, not only in the restaurant, but the community at large. And it was just touched on in Beds. And I've been out to the fairs and a lot of the events, and there's Steve and Phil behind the scenes driving, the Easy-Go cart and moving tables and chairs and sweating and, not just pointing at people, telling them to do this and that. You've invested your heart and soul into this community and everything you do, and it really shows. And if I can speak on behalf of the board and as a resident and for my family, thank you so much for all that you've done for the village. It's so important to have people like you leading the charge, and I'm glad everyone that will hear the proclamation will just hear a small degree of what you've done behind the scenes and the impact it's had on our village. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Trustee Kotinik. Trustee Augustine.
Thank you, President Kukler. Well, Mike, you said it well, and I share a lot of the storyline that you do. Coming there as a single person, underage, you guys never let me get a beer. You knew me. But I would have a burger and watch the Bulls games, a lot of Bulls games, pretzels and the pint glasses on every table with that great honey mustard dip. Then married, and now with kids, just like so many people in this town and from miles around who would come to the only beer garden in the area. You know that you transformed LaGrange at a time when it needed it most. Very fortuitous, as President Kukler said, and will say in the proclamation, as well, and others will. It's been invaluable. You did more than bring a great restaurant in. You brought an entertainment piece in, and you did it well. The work that you do on the side is also tremendous, and most people don't know that, like the things that Mike has said, as well as your charitable work with Beds, which had just been said. And then, Phil, I really got to know you when we were on the foundation board at Helping Hand for all those years, and you would be doing the same thing for Helping Hand as you would be doing for any of the other organizations. So all of these quiet little charitable projects that mean so much to a strong community, you guys have always been there. So you've set the standard for all the businesses. There's no coincidence that the organization has grown with you there to lead the way. I think you've inspired all these other businesses to do the same kind of thing. So it's really been a wonderful thing for this town, and it's one of the things that makes us extremely special and enviable in the best of ways. So thank you guys for everything, and I'm glad that it's still here. I got to go there the other day. You weren't there, but I felt like you were there a little bit, and the new place, it sounds fantastic. I'll be there soon. But just thanks again. It's really, it's tremendous that what you've done for the village.
Thank you, Trustee Augustine. Trustee Gale.
Thank you, Mr. President. Everything's already been said, so I just simply want to take the opportunity to thank all your activities and commitment to the village of LaGrange, because the village is a better place because of the service you've provided, not just through your restaurant, but through your activities within the community. So thank you very much. This is a well-deserved recognition, and look forward to your next act. Thanks.
Thank you, Trustee Gale. And now if we could have you both approach the podium, and we'll read the proclamation. I do want to say, as you're coming up, perhaps 3 decades of bar service, I would give you a proclamation just for that, but you really are here for your commitment to the community. As you said, it's been talked about the Beds program, Pillars, Helping Hands, and all the different LGBA, all the different programs you did. I'd like to just tell one story about the mentoring. When I first started serving on the Liquor Commission, I had friends, neighbors, strangers come up to me and say, I heard that we don't have any other bars or restaurants in town because Palmer won't allow them. I wasn't sure which Palmer wouldn't allow them, but it was Palmer wouldn't allow them. And I said, I can tell you that it's the opposite. The ones that want to be successful in LaGrange go in and talk to Steve and Phil and ask them questions, and they're open with them. They tell them the strengths, the weaknesses, ideas that have tried and not worked, and reasons they haven't worked. And they really have always worked with the other restaurants. And I know because when they came in here for issues that were important to them, they came as a pack, and they all, it was one together. So the mentoring is really what I appreciated. I also want to say that you're working with the staff. Obviously, you had things that you wanted to accomplish that may or may not fit into what the village needed to have in place, but instead of just doing it your way, you wanted to work with the staff and say, maybe we need to change some of the ordinances. Maybe we need to accept that the market's moving in a different direction. And you worked to allow us to do that as a team, and I really, really appreciate it. And before I read the resolution, the last thing, the plug I'll give to really the LGBA is these things don't happen with a chain restaurant. We're not going to be doing this, if it was an Outback or any other place you could think of, because that's not the family commitment. Those people don't live and die by the neighborhood, by our village, and the Palmers do. This is their roots. This is what they cared about, and they really showed it in everything they did. So, with that, and lastly, we do have 2 plaques. If the Palmer brothers were a little younger, we would have made you wrestle, but we decided we'd spring for 2. So, a resolution recognizing the Palmer family and Palmer Place Restaurant. Whereas in June 1976, Mike and Ruth Palmer purchased the Spot to Eat restaurant at 56 South LaGrange Road in downtown LaGrange. And in 1983, the family opened Palmer Place Restaurant and Beer Garden, which grew to be known throughout Chicago area as a family-friendly restaurant with a famous St. Patrick's Day celebration. And whereas Steve and Phil Palmer and the Palmer family have been active members of the LaGrange business community and the LaGrange Business Association for over 30 years, and along with Mike and Ruth, were instrumental in the development and execution of numerous community and charitable events such as Endless Summerfest and the Brew Moon Festival. And whereas Steve has served the village and community in numerous capacities, including a paid-on-call firefighter, the LaGrange Business Association, West Suburban Chamber of Commerce, and the Illinois Restaurant Association, and currently serves on the board of directors for Metra and the Lyons Township Mental Health Commission. And whereas Phil has served on local school boards for decades, including the Lyons Township High School District 204 board from 2011 to 2019, and the Helping Hands Center Foundation board. And whereas, as just one example, Steve and Phil, through Palmer Place Restaurant, made and delivered over 10,000 meals through Bed's Match a Meal program for the homeless. And whereas the Palmer family has been outstanding ambassadors for LaGrange and unselfishly given their time and talents, working tirelessly to promote and support the community in numerous capacities for the betterment of all residents and businesses. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the President of the Board of Trustees of the Village of LaGrange, Cook County, State of Illinois, recognize and appreciate the Palmer family for exceptional service and positive contributions that have made our great village. So thank you.
It all seems a bit much and overwhelming, but we'd be remiss if we didn't acknowledge the people that we learned from, our parents, our mom especially, the Breenes, the Cahills, those that when we were little were the elder statesmen of the town and the community, and you just follow their role, their example, and that's really it. It's a community. We live here. We love the place too. So, thank you. It's very kind.
Thank you, Phil.
My only regret so far is we haven't been able to dry up LaGrange for you, but we do stand with you in all those things. But thank you to the board for this recognition. It's very, very kind. We will continue to be residents. We'll continue to serve as long as you reappoint me again to the Economic Development Commission, and also as one of the chairs of the LaGrange Pet Parade and everything else, and still be involved in our community. But the sale of the restaurant is over, but was very proud of the fact that the people who bought it wanted to buy our name too. That meant a lot. So having our name still on LaGrange Road means we're still going to be fighting very hard for the village of LaGrange and for the Palmer Place restaurant as that legacy continues. So thank you very much for this honor.
Thank you, Steve and Phil. And please come get your plaques. Sign these. Oh. Clerk Saladino says we need to vote to see whether or not the Palmers can walk out with these plaques, so don't go too far.
I move we approve the resolution.
Thank you. Can we get a second?
Second.
We can do a voice vote on that. So all in favor of letting the Palmers walk out with their plaques and in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And of course not. So the resolution passes unanimously. All right. And I do want to say that the next regularly scheduled board meeting is scheduled for March 28th. It has been canceled due to spring break plans and a light agenda. So we wish everyone an enjoyable spring break. Our next regular meeting is scheduled for Monday, April 11th. So with that, I would ask if there's a village manager report.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Downtown Streetscape project began today and includes the removal and replacement of brick pavers and concrete sidewalk in the downtown area. The project will be conducted in 2 phases, spring and fall. Intermittent sidewalk and parking stall closures may be required. However, access to businesses will be provided at all times. Pedestrians and motorists are asked to be cautious when walking or driving near work zones and to adhere to construction signage. The general hours of work are 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., Monday through Friday. And work began this week on Callender Avenue between Ashland Avenue and LaGrange Road. And areas on the south side of Burlington Avenue between Ashland Avenue and LaGrange Road are also scheduled next. The village is working closely with the contractor and businesses to reduce the impacts of the project as much as possible. And we appreciate the public's understanding and patience. For more information, or if you have any questions, please visit the village website or contact Public Works, 708-579-2328. Brush pickup. Brush collection begins the first Monday of each month, April through November, during the first full week of the month. So April 4th will be the first brush pickup for the season. Please remember that brush may not be placed on the parkway until the Sunday evening before the pickup, but no later than 7 a.m. on the first Monday of that week. Items considered to be brush consist of fallen or cut branches and limbs from trees and bushes, which cannot fit into a biodegradable paper bag or a 35-gallon reusable can. There are specific requirements for preparing brush for pickup, and more information is available on the website or by calling Public Works. This year's Spring Cleanup Day will be held the week of April 11th on residents' regular collection day. 2 spring cleanup stickers are required for unlimited participation. And for more information regarding allowable and disallowable items, please visit the village's website. Finally, the Indiana Harbor Belt Railroad has announced that they are planning emergency rail crossing repair work on Thursday, March 17th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The work will require a temporary closure of the rail crossing on East Avenue, south of 47th Street on that day. 47th Street and East Avenue north of the railroad tracks will remain open during the work. Traffic detour signage will direct northbound East Avenue motorists to 55th Street and southbound motorists to 47th Street. The Bluff Avenue interconnect from 47th to East Avenue also will remain open for local traffic. Motorists are asked to obey detour signage, obey speed limits, and avoid cutting through residential areas. The police department will be generally out and about enforcing traffic laws. Residents may also experience an increase temporarily in noise levels associated with railroad equipment and train whistles as the trains pass through the work zone. Thank you for your cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you, Manager Peterson. At this time, I'd ask Clerk Saladino to read the matters on the consent portion of the agenda.
Matters on the consent agenda will be considered by a single motion and vote because they already have been considered fully by the board at a previous meeting or have been determined to be of a routine nature. Any member of the Board of Trustees may request that an item be moved from the consent agenda to current business for separate consideration. Item A, Engineering Services Agreement, Fiscal Year 2022-23, Brainerd Avenue Water Main Replacement Project. Item B, Minutes of the Village of LaGrange Board of Trustees Regular Meeting, Monday, February 28th, 2022. Item C, Consolidated Voucher 220314.
Thank you, Clerk Saladino. At this time, I would ask if there's any comments from the public on matters on tonight's agenda. Seeing none, I would ask the board if there's a motion and a second on the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Thank you, Trustee Kotinik and Trustee Augustine. Any discussion from the trustees?
Thank you, President Kukler. As I've previously stated, I recuse myself from voting on any agenda items related to the village prosecutor.
Thank you, Trustee Augustine. And seeing no other comments, I would ask Clerk Saladino for a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Peterson?
Aye.
Trustee Kotinik?
Aye.
Trustee Gale?
Aye.
Trustee Augustine?
Aye.
And Trustee McGee and O'Brien are absent.
Thank you, and that passes unanimously. There are no items under current business tonight, so I would ask if there's any comments for matters not on tonight's agenda. Seeing none, I would ask if any trustees have any. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I was a little too quick. Please state your name and then.
South Spring. I'm in a pretty good mood tonight, but there's rain forecasted next week, and our family summer vacation in June is, we're not sure whether we should go because we don't want to leave our house when there's a chance. We have fantastic neighbors, but they would also be bailing out their basements, and I feel like not too much has happened since the end of June last year. Me and my colleagues at Dry Up LaGrange Neighbors have put in a lot of hours trying hard to do this. And we come to this meeting tonight, and I'm grateful for the work the Palmers have done. I don't think they do this work, though, to be recognized publicly. And I know that the LaGrange Business Association is very grateful for their work, and they're a powerful and important, very important organization. I'm not diminishing what anyone has done, but you are our elected officials, and to come to a meeting like this and hear a acknowledgement that we're here and 20 minutes on other items in this village that don't address the real serious plight of residents is troublesome. I don't know what's happened. I don't know what's going to happen. We've asked for the report of the engineer's report, for example. I don't think we've seen it. I don't know all the communications that have happened, but I think I can say on behalf of me and my neighbors, we're really worried and frustrated. And if I'm back here next month or in May or June, having just pumped out my basement, my demeanor is going to be a lot different. So I hope that you folks can engage in the work that we have elected you to do on behalf of our village. Behalf of our village.
Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. Betsy Shea, 126 North Viola. As was mentioned, May is upon us, and I wondered if there is any update on any preventative measures that are being taken to, potentially prevent some flooding when we do get these rains. I know one time last fall I had a big machine come in front of my house and it cleaned out my sewer and it seemed to work. I haven't seen it since, so I don't know. Obviously, we're not going to get a new pipe between now and May, but is Public Works taking any action, preventative measures between now and when our rain season comes to try and help us out a little bit? I don't know if there's any updates or information that could be shared.
Yeah, when you're done speaking and the public comments are done, I will ask Rick Colby just to kind of, not that there's anything over the winter that was specifically done, but an idea of what the storm preparation is so that you will know that.
That would be terrific. Thanks.
Peter Stuckey, 645 South Viola. I thought I read in the newspaper last week that you all were looking into some sort of 50-50 cost share of the installation of stop check valves. I didn't know what the timing on that was, or if I read that correctly, but just wanted to get an update if you would have one.
Sure. So again, that's a great question, and we can give you an update. We'll just try to answer the questions as best we can. So we'll provide an update tonight too.
Okay, thank you.
And again, I don't want to cut anybody off. And if you have a question after we answer these, feel free to come back up. But I just didn't want to get into a procedure where we're answering each question, not necessarily this meeting, but other meetings where we don't have such a light agenda. It's just going to become problematic. So that's what I was doing. So maybe start with Public Works Director Colby, giving just kind of an overview about what the storm preparations are.
Absolutely. Thank you, President Kukler, and thank you very much for those comments. So it's that time of year, we're in spring, so even this morning we had staff together and we were talking through storm preparedness. We do maintain constantly doing a system of going through our stormwater to clean out basins. Anyone who likes to stop by Public Works, please do. We have a GIS map that shows that where we've cleaned, and the large focus of that is in the depressional areas, south of 47th Street in the South Basin. Receiving a disproportionate amount of the maintenance actually, and we kind of, not trying to balance that out, we're trying to accomplish everything, but you can show that. That's actually what the data reflects, because we just recently reviewed that. We have been working closely with our partners across other municipalities in terms of other public work directors, as well as our LTAC, our 911 center, in terms of management of call volume in the event we were to have a storm, and kind of stepping up that overarching kind of emergency preparedness stance. Crews are ready. We also have a weather monitoring system that we're using to look at those forecasts. So similarly, we were looking at the 22nd as an event where we'd have an inch of rainfall already on our agenda, so we can start to communicate, plan, discuss things we can do ahead of that. That, among other things, that won't in and of itself change the volume of the pipe, but making sure we do maintenance is really, really important. We also completed, for those who aren't aware, inspection and televising of 10% of our entire sewer system last year.
They literally they clean all the roots out and take a camera down that. We did not, there was a lot of that was focused in the area of the flooding concerns. We did not find any issues in that location where there was anything that would affected flow or any sort of system like that, which was great to find, absolutely great to find. So those are the types of things and the steps we're taking to make sure that the system we have, even if limited in capacity, is functioning as designed. So that's kind of what I can share from right now in terms of my perspective of the things we're doing to be ready. And then again, just standing by in the event we do have something to try to do the best we can during that event to help out and communicate and all those sort of things. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Colby. With regard to the 50-50 cost share, I know Trustee Peterson has been the liaison to the EQC, the Environmental Quality Commission. Village Manager Peterson has been working very closely with them. It's a matter that was presented a couple of meetings ago to them. It was favorably received by the commission to enter a 50-50 proposal for both check valves and overhead sewers. It's my understanding that the commission is finalizing what that would entail. It's also, again, this isn't finalized, but it's my understanding that the initial budget will be $50,000 per year for that project, with a cap, I think, of maybe $5,000 per household. We're not sure what the demand's going to be. It's possible that there's strong demand and that'll be expanded, but those are just the initial parameters that are being looked at. There's also we'll get a recommendation from the EQC, I believe, at their next meeting. They're recommending that the funding for that cost share be an increase onto the residents' sewer bill. Do we know, Village Manager, what number they're talking about yet?
It's approximately 10 cents a cubic yard, Lou, that equates to about $10 per year for an average homeowner, I believe.
So that would be based on your water bill, but I think put into the sewer bill. And that would be for the people that are residents of the Grange combined sewer system, which is not the households that are in the South Lyon Sanitary District. Since they're covered under a different plan, they won't qualify for the 50-50 program, and they won't be assessed a fee for the 50-50 program. It's also thought that people that have made the investment in the past will not be reimbursed. It'll be a program just moving forward from when it's enacted. And again, we're expecting it to be recommended to the board very shortly, and then will be considered by the board. Lastly, for some of the updates, again, we made updates a couple of weeks ago at the last meeting, but we as a village have met and continue to meet with a lot of people on the flooding issues. We had in the village parking lot, a lot of the elected MWRD commissioners came out. They were talking about permeable pavers, but anytime they're out, and Commissioner Aguilar was also there, we're talking about flooding and the need for flood relief. Very recently, but again, more than 2 weeks ago, we met with the top 4 engineers from MWRD, as well as the top engineers from Chris Burke Engineering, to look at where can we, what programs are possible. Is there short-term solutions, middle solutions, long-term solutions? And it's clear that there's no easy fixes. There isn't an easy fix. If there was an easy fix, it would have been done. The fixes all really start at $1 million and go up. And when you're talking about $1 million, you're talking about, for our village, a substantial investment. And there has to be real relief that will be gained. It was discussed, and it's continued belief of everybody in that meeting that working with the country club for a flood wall is a good idea, and we're hoping to do that. There's some localized areas that maybe would make sense. I was talking earlier, Sunset and Linkletter area may make sense to do something in that area. But for a lot of people, the project, the 50th Street Storm Sewer, is the project that we need. And that, again, has a trial date of July 18th. And it's going to be tried, I believe. And that date, I believe, is a firm date. So we understand that doesn't get us through the spring. And it really won't get us through the fall. If we win, it's still going to take time to construct. But these are regional, statewide, federal issues that Grange does not have an easy solution for. We'll continue to work hard. We understand that it's frustrating, nerve-wracking, scary. It's everyone in LaGrange, pretty much, their house is their primary investment. None of a board takes that lightly. And we'll continue to ask for help from our elected leaders and advocate on behalf of the residents. So I appreciate you coming out tonight. And now I would move it to any trustee comments. Trustee Augustine.
Thank you, President Kugler. My comment is on this topic. I happen to know from the inside how hard the village is working to address the ongoing flooding problems. And at each meeting, we do say at least a little something at the top of each meeting, sometimes more. And 9 out of 10 times, maybe 99 out of 100 times, there's at least one person here from Dry Up who will ask a question. Different people at different meetings, and they can watch the meetings online, but time and time again, I'm hearing some of the same questions when I talk to members of the group in the audience. Some of them are concerned about the new construction, and how that displaces and moves water on the property. Some of them are concerned about some of the things that Director Colby just addressed. And I'm wondering if we can make a different effort to focus some more information into the tops of our meetings that address some of these things, even the small stuff that we've been doing, so that they know as much as they can that we know in terms of what we've been doing since that last meeting, little things that come up, because some of that stuff may be music to someone's ears, and it starts to fill in the picture for them. And I think what I hear a lot, I think what we all hear, is that they feel disconnected from the process. And to assure them with just my words is one thing, but to hear it from you and the director, what we're doing, how we're doing it, where the timeline sits, and continue to be open as we are to hearing what you have to say might be helpful. So, because I think what we just said is, I've seen some heads nod out there. You know, it's not solving the problem today or anytime sooner, but it does help the communication piece.
Thank you, Trustee Augustine. And obviously, if any trustee ever feels like we have forgotten to mention something, please, at all times, speak up, either during the meeting or during trustee comments. So I appreciate any help that we can get. And with that, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you, trustees. All in favor of adjourning at 8:23, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? And we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy spring break.